way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a way out for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the hardship that he was facing in Mecca to a place of support that would eventually become Medina, Yathrib. And inshallah, in the upcoming class tomorrow, we will talk a little bit about that first stage of the actual hijrah and what took place. So inshallah, we will conclude here today for today's class, and I'll give an opportunity for you to ask questions pertaining to the class, and then tomorrow inshallah we will carry on and we will ask questions specifically to the children in the community as well as adults. So inshallah, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Yes.
I'm a little bit confused about the verses and the Prophet what he said about
yes.
And the verses when Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Sometimes you want to do or balance some ayahs,
Yes.
but you don't do that, and there is like contradiction. I don't know if there is a contradiction or just like I'm a little bit confused about this two statements.
Yeah, no, Jazakallah khairan. This is a very good point. The brother is asking, in Islam we're supposed to pass on information, we're supposed to give dawa. But at the same time, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun, kabura maqtan 'inda Allah an taqulu ma la taf'alun. Meaning that, oh, you who believe, why do you say or encourage other people to do the things that you do not do yourself? كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates it when you say the things that you do not do. And that is in reference to hypocrisy, meaning that you say something but you do something else. What is important, and why I said I want people to pay attention, is these verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to make sure that our speech and our actions are together. The bad thing about it is not the fact that someone is preaching. The thing that makes it bad is that you are coming with something that contradicts that speech. I don't know if you understood what I said. So, I'll repeat it. One hand, there's you preaching. There's you telling people, pray salah. And on the other hand, there is the fi'l, praying the salah. Now, if you say to people, pray salah, have you done something good or bad? You've done something good. You're encouraging people to do good. Praying salah. If you pray salah, obviously that's a good thing. However, if you don't pray salah and you told people to pray salah, then the thing that is bad that the scholars in Islam mention specifically is the fi'l, or rather adam al-fi'l, that you haven't prayed the salah. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hate that a person encourages others to do good. But what makes it bad is if you encourage other people to do good and you forget yourself. This is the distinction. Why is this important? Because some people, they will say, oh, if I'm not going to do the action, then I might as well not encourage other people to do it. But that's not always the case. You should always, as long as you have an intention to do the deed, and for whatever reason you can't do that deed, you should still encourage people to give sadaqah, to pray salah, to learn Quran. The only time it becomes bad is if you fall into the habit that you don't have any intention. You don't care. You tell people, pray, 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 but you don't pray yourself. You tell people go to the masjid, but you don't go to the masjid. So this is why in other verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ. So the important part here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not necessarily hate the speech of encouragement, encouraging others. The part that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates is the part where the person is encouraging others but not doing that same thing themselves. So I hope that answers it a bit. Yes?
It's a question about bay'ah.
Yes.
I heard some scholars believe that every Muslim must have bay'ah on the hands of another imam or a scholar, and they can't be without it. What's your opinion on that?
So the brother is asking about the bay'ah. It is true that there are ahadith that mention the importance of bay'ah, pledging allegiance. However, the scholars in Islam, they said, is for the pledging allegiance to the one that has the affair of the believers in his hand. Okay? Meaning a person of authority. Does not always have to be Khalifatul Muslimin. It can be on a different level. Let's say there's a ruler in a Muslim country. He is not a Khalifa. He is not perhaps even a king. He is someone that rules the country. A president, a prime minister, whatever. Now, the Muslims living in that country, the scholars in Islam have said it is important for those people that they listen and obey that particular ruler as long as that ruler does not say anything that goes or judge or command people to do something that goes against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam. So those ahadith, if the Muslims have one Khalifa that they all agree upon, that this person is the Khalifa of the Muslimin, Amirul Mu'mineen, then that ta'ah, that obedience is to that person. If that is not the case, then there's still obedience, but on a different level, meaning that the people that happen to live in Somalia, they should follow, listen and obey the ruler in Somalia. The people in Morocco, they should listen and obey the leaders in Morocco, and so on. So this is the way that we implement those type of ahadith when we are told by the Prophet ﷺ to come with the bay'ah, to follow, to listen and obey. And this is not only for the one leader, the Amirul Mu'mineen. Usually today we have the problem that people, they think that, if there was someone like Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, that was the Amirul Mu'mineen for all the Muslims, then they say, I wouldn't have a problem following someone like Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. But because we don't have anyone like Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, I'm not going to follow these leaders. But the truth of the matter is, even if Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu was Amirul Mu'mineen in our time, people would still try to find problems in him. People, believe me when I say, they would still try to find problems in each and every leader. And this is what happened at the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu. That people started rebelling, people started losing faith in Uthman radiallahu anhu, and that caused that whole clash, that whole problem amongst the Sahaba at that time. So I hope that answers the question. Yes.
Another, I think, hadith related to that is that you've been asked to stick to a jama'ah.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if this is the same thing, and how do we fulfill that requirement?
So sticking to one jama'ah, the scholars in Islam, they refer to, mainly this is in terms of aqidah, but it is also in a practical sense. And by that I mean, that when it comes to the jama'ah, the scholars in Islam have said is the truth. Okay? So it does not always mean a group of people. Scholars in Islam have said the jama'ah is the truth even if only one person follows that truth. So you as a Muslim, you're encouraged, rather you are obliged to follow and align yourself with the haqq wherever it is. So this is one of the reasons why when we speak we say Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, because not only are we the people of the Sunnah that follow the Sunnah, but we are the Jama'ah, we are the group of people, and we align ourselves with the haqq, with the truth. On a more practical level, the Jama'ah is the majority of the Muslims, in the sense that the Prophet ﷺ has said in certain ahadith that there are that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it impossible for the majority to agree upon falsehood. For the majority to agree upon falsehood. This is why, as Muslims, we are encouraged to always be with a greater number. There's always exceptions to that rule. It's not always that simple that you say just because a group is larger that it's always going to be on the right side. But as a general rule, this is also what is referred to as the Jama'ah. So both from a theoretical point of view, in terms of Aqidah, we align ourselves with the truth, and we do not necessarily look at individuals and say, oh, this person aligned himself with that. No, our emphasis should always be, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, what is authentic, what is not authentic, and then you align yourself with that, and that would be the Jama'ah. On a practical level, you try to align yourself with the body, the majority of the Muslim Ummah, but also, like I said, that is not always the case, and you always have to look into each situation and deal with each situation as you see fit. Yes?
Just a follow-up question on prayer. So you said that you have to follow scholars in general wherever they are. So, but I think his question was more about, is it like you just have to follow one particular scholar, pledge allegiance to him, and then kind of swear in front of him that you won't do anything wrong, and if something happens, you have to come back to him and kind of follow him and ask him for every religious matter. So I think that was the real question.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Is
So,
it mandatory? Is it mandatory?
yeah, so bay'ah to certain people means certain things, okay? The way that you described it, this is one way that certain people understand bay'ah, meaning that you have one shaykh, one alim that you go to, you put your hand in their hand and you take a bay'ah and you promise certain things. This is usually not the way that scholars in Islam have spoken about bay'ah. The reason why those early Muslims did this to the Prophet ﷺ was not only because the Prophet ﷺ was a true scholar, but also he was the leader of the Muslims. Okay? So when we're talking about bay'ah, we're not talking about the bay'ah that certain people do to their shaykh, but we're talking about aligning yourself with the ruler, with the leader of that particular place. Okay, and it is not advised for a person to pledge allegiance to an alim because the problem with that is the ulama, we appreciate and we value the scholars in Islam because their how close to the truth they are. In other words, an alim, even though he has the knowledge, he is only a human being. What I'm trying to say is, even an alim can make mistakes. No one is free of mistakes. This is why Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said that very famous statement. He said, if you want to follow someone, or pledge allegiance or be close to someone like that, make sure those people are people who have passed away, that are known for their good deeds. Yani what he's trying to say is, pledge allegiance not to a person, but to ilm, to knowledge itself, the haqq, the truth. So this is much more preferred than a person going to a particular shaykh and pledging allegiance. Rather, you pledge allegiance to that the knowledge that the shaykh is coming with, and this is the better way to approach it.
Sheikh, can I just follow up to that two questions about Jama'ah?
Yeah.
الآية أبتسم من الحبل الله ولا تفرقوا. يعني I thought that was meant Jama'ah he was referring to. You should not, even if you may disagree with understanding.
Yes.
We have to speak, because I'm going to follow, learn,
Yes.
Is that is it the best way to do it, or you work within the group? That's my idea.
Yeah, no, Jazakallah, that's a good point. The Jama'ah is the truth. Okay, we said that. And the truth is the Quran and the Sunnah. The two things that guide. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran that we should follow the Quran and the Sunnah. So now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran itself, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا,